James, what are you doing here? I had to see you, he said, his voice hoarse. Please, Emma, just give me 5 minutes. Against her better judgment, Emma let him in. He stood in her living room, looking around at her beautiful apartment, her successful life, and something in his expression broke. You really made it, he said softly. You built everything you dreamed of. James, why are you here? Emma asked, keeping her distance. He sank onto her couch, putting his head in his hands. My life is over. The business is gone. I'm facing criminal charges. Sophia has been cheating on me, probably since before we even got married. Everything I thought I had was a lie. I'm sorry you're going through this, Emma said, and she meant it. But I don't understand why you're here. Because you were the only real thing I ever had. James looked up at her, desperation in his eyes. You loved me genuinely. You weren't with me for my money or my status. You just loved me, and I threw it away for what? For Sophia, who never cared about me at all. Emma sat down across from him, maintaining careful distance. James, you can't rewrite history. What you had with me, you destroyed. You chose Sophia. I made a mistake. The worst mistake of my life. He stood up, moving toward her. Emma, please. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm begging you. Give me another chance. We could start over. We could. Stop. Emma's voice was firm. James, no. The answer is no. But I love you. I always loved you. I was just too stupid to realize. You loved the idea of me. Emma interrupted. You loved having someone devoted to you. But you didn't respect me enough to stay faithful. And more importantly, James, I don't love you anymore. His face crumbled. You don't mean that. I do. What I felt for you died the moment I walked into your office and saw you with Sophia. And in the 3. You've moved on, but I thought you should know. After everything they did to you, karma finally caught up with them. The unexpected call. Emma ended the call and sat in silence for a moment, processing. Daniel sat beside her, waiting patiently. Bad news. Complicated news, Emma replied. She told him everything Rachel had shared. When she finished, Daniel asked the question she'd been asking herself. How do you feel about it? I don't know. Emma admitted honestly. Part of me feels vindicated. They hurt me so badly, and now they're experiencing consequences. But another part of me just feels sad. Sad that it came to this. Sad that people's lives are falling apart. That's because you're a good person, Daniel said, taking her hand. You could gloat, but instead you feel compassion. That's one of the things I love about you. Emma looked at him sharply. Love? Daniel's eyes were steady, certain. Yes, love. I know it's soon, but I'm sure. I love you, Emma. The woman you are, the strength you've shown, the kindness you've maintained despite everything you've been through. Tears welled in Emma's eyes. I think I love you too. And it terrifies me. Because of what happened before. Because I'm afraid of losing this. Of losing you. Daniel pulled her close. You won't lose me. I'm not James. I'm not going anywhere. They sat together as the sun set over Seattle, holding on to each other while Emma's phone continued to buzz with updates from Chicago. The confrontation that changed everything. Emma returned to New York on Monday, but she couldn't shake the news about James and Sophia. On Wednesday evening, her doorbell rang unexpectedly. When she opened it, she gasped. James stood in her hallway, looking worse than she'd ever seen him. His clothes were wrinkled, his face unshaven, his eyes red-rimmed from exhaustion or crying or both. Steadier, like finding solid ground after years of walking on shifting sand. As they pulled apart, Emma's phone buzzed insistently. She glanced at it and frowned. 10 missed calls from Rachel, 3 from Lauren, and several text messages marked urgent. Everything okay? Daniel asked, concerned. Emma opened the first text from Rachel. Emma, call me ASAP. It's about James and Sophia. Something major happened. Her stomach tightened. I need to make a call. She stepped away and dialed Rachel's number. Her friend answered on the first ring, breathless with excitement and shock. Emma, finally, you need to hear this. Everything has fallen apart for James and Sophia. I mean everything. What happened? Emma asked, her voice calm despite the sudden rush of adrenaline. Where do I even start? Okay, so you know James's company was struggling, right? Well, it turns out it's worse than anyone knew. James made some bad investments, and the business is basically bankrupt. They're facing lawsuits from investors, and James might actually go to jail for mismanagement. Emma's hand flew to her mouth. That's terrible. Wait, there's more. Sophia? Apparently, she's been having an affair with James's business partner, Michael. And get this, Michael is the one who reported James's financial irregularities to the authorities. The affair came out during the investigation. Emma sat down on a nearby bench, the news hitting her in waves. When did all this happen? The news broke yesterday. It's all over Chicago. James found out about Sophia and Michael at the same time he found out about the investigation. He apparently showed up at Michael's house, and there was a huge scene. The police were called. It's a complete disaster. Does James know you're telling me this? Emma asked quietly. I don't think James knows anything right now except that his life is imploding. Emma, I know. The perfect life shattered. Emma Carter had always believed in fairy tales. At 28, she thought she was living one. The morning sunlight streamed through the windows of her downtown apartment as she hummed softly, arranging white roses in a crystal vase. These weren't just any roses. They were from James, her fiancé of 2 years, who never forgot their Thursday tradition of sending flowers to mark another week closer to their wedding. The wedding was only 6 weeks away. The invitations had been sent, the venue booked, and her wedding dress hung in the closet like a promise of forever. Emma worked as a graphic designer at a small but prestigious firm, and James was climbing the corporate ladder at his father's investment company. Together, they were the couple everyone envied. Her phone buzzed with a text from her cousin Sophia. Coffee today? Need to discuss bridesmaid dress fitting. Emma smiled. Despite their complicated history, she had chosen Sophia as one of her bridesmaids. Family was family, after all. Emma replied quickly, can't today. Big presentation at work. Tomorrow? She set her phone down and grabbed her portfolio, ready to pitch a major campaign to a potential client. This presentation could mean a promotion, maybe even a partnership track at the firm. The unexpected discovery. The presentation went better than expected. Emma's boss, Margaret, actually stood up and applauded when she finished. This is exactly what we needed, Margaret said, beaming. Take the rest of the day off. You've earned it. Emma practically floated out of the office at noon, her heart soaring. She decided to surprise James at his office with lunch from his favorite Italian restaurant. James's office was in the financial district, a gleaming tower of glass and steel where his family's company occupied 3 floors. Emma knew the security guards by name, and they waved her through with knowing smiles. Lucky man, that James, one of them called out. She laughed, clutching the bag of pasta and wine. But when she reached James's floor, his secretary looked uncomfortable. Emma, I didn't know you were coming today. Surprise visit, Emma said cheerfully. Is he in? The secretary's eyes darted to James's office door. He's in a meeting. I'll just wait then, Emma said, settling into one of the leather chairs. But something felt wrong. The secretary kept glancing at the door, then at her phone, then back at Emma. After 10 minutes of awkward silence, Emma stood up. You know what? I'll just peek in and leave the food. He can eat when his meeting is done. Wait, Emma. I don't think. But Emma was already opening the door. The office was dim, curtains drawn against the afternoon sun. And there, on the leather couch where Emma had sat during countless lunch visits, was James. He wasn't alone. Sophia's red dress was unmistakable, her dark hair spread across the cushions, James's hands tangled in it. Time seemed to stop. Emma's hand went numb, and the bag of food crashed to the floor. The sound made them spring apart. James's face went white. Sophia's expression was harder to read. Surprise, yes, but something else too. Something that looked almost like satisfaction. The confrontation. Emma. James scrambled to his feet, buttoning his shirt with shaking hands. It's not what it looks like. Emma's voice came out cold and steady, surprising even herself. Really? Because it looks like you're sleeping with my cousin 6 weeks before our wedding. Sophia sat up slowly, adjusting her dress with deliberate calmness. Emma, we didn't want you to find out this way. Find out. Emma's laugh was bitter. How long? It doesn't matter, James said quickly. Emma, please, we can talk about this. How long? Emma's voice rose, the numbness giving way to a searing rage. Sophia stood up, smoothing her hair. 8 months. The number hit Emma like a physical blow. 8 months. That meant it started right after Emma and James had picked their wedding venue. It meant every "I love you," every plan they made, every moment she thought they were building a future, All of it had been a lie. I'm sorry, James said, and he actually looked like he meant it. I never wanted to hurt you. It just happened. Things like this don't just happen, Emma said. Her hands were shaking now, her whole body trembling with the effort of staying upright. You made choices. Both of you. Sophia stepped forward, and Emma saw it then. The lack of remorse in her cousin's eyes. Emma, you have to understand. James and I have a connection. We tried to fight it, but some things are meant to be. Meant to be. Emma's voice broke. You're my family. I trusted you. I chose you to be in my wedding party. And I appreciate that, Sophia said, with the kind of fake sweetness that made Emma's stomach turn. But you can't force someone to love you. James deserves to be happy. Get out, Emma said quietly. Both of you, get out of my sight. The aftermath. Emma didn't remember leaving James's office or getting home. She found herself sitting on her bathroom floor, still in her work clothes, staring at nothing. Her phone buzzed incessantly, James calling, texting, begging to explain. Sophia sent one message, I hope someday you'll understand. Emma blocked them both. Then she called her mother. Mom, the wedding is off. Her mother's gasp was sharp. What? Emma, what happened? James has been cheating on me with Sophia. Silence. Then, that girl. I knew there was something wrong with her. Emma, honey, come home. I can't. I need to think. The next week was a blur of canceled plans and pitying looks. Emma handled it with mechanical efficiency, contacting the venue, the caterer, the florist. Each phone call was a small death, an acknowledgement that her future had been a fantasy. Her friends rallied around her, offering wine and tissues and murderous plans for revenge. But it was her best friend Rachel who said what Emma needed to hear. You need to disappear for a while. Get away from all of this. I can't just leave, Emma protested. I have my job, my life here. What life? Rachel asked gently. Emma, you're a ghost right now. Go somewhere new. Start over. Show them that you're not broken. The transformation begins. 3 weeks after the discovery, Emma made a decision. She accepted a freelance contract with a design firm in New York City, something she'd been offered months ago but turned down because James's life was in Chicago. She gave notice at her apartment, packed her essentials, and bought a one-way ticket. She didn't tell anyone except Rachel and her mother. No goodbye party, no announcements on social media. She simply left. On her last night in Chicago, Emma stood in her empty apartment and made a promise to herself. She would not let this destroy her. She would not give James and Sophia the satisfaction of seeing her broken. New York was overwhelming at first. The noise, the crowds, the relentless pace. But Emma threw herself into work with a fierce determination she'd never had before. The freelance contract turned into a full-time position at a cutting-edge design agency. Her boss, a sharp woman named Victoria, saw something in Emma that even Emma hadn't seen in herself. You're hungry, Victoria observed during Emma's first month. Not for success, for proving something. Channel that. Emma did. She worked late nights and early mornings. She took on projects no one else wanted. She learned new software, new techniques, new ways of seeing the world. And slowly, painfully, she began to rebuild herself. But New York gave Emma something else too. Distance. Distance from the pain, from the memories, from the girl who had been so easily betrayed. She cut her long brown hair into a sleek bob. She started running in Central Park every morning. She took classes in photography and poetry. She dated casually, never letting anyone too close. News from home. 6 months after Emma left Chicago, she received a text from Rachel. You need to see this. Attached was a photo from social media, James and Sophia, dressed in wedding attire, smiling at the camera. The caption read, Finally married. When you know, you know. Emma stared at the photo for a long time. She waited for the pain, the anger, the jealousy. Instead, she felt nothing. Or maybe not nothing, maybe relief. Relief that she had escaped. Relief that this wasn't her life anymore. She deleted the message and went back to work. But Rachel called that evening. Are you okay? I wasn't sure if I should tell you, but I thought you'd want to know. I'm fine, Emma said, and realized she meant it. Actually, I'm better than fine. Good. Because I also heard from my cousin who works at James's company. Apparently, his dad is furious about the marriage. He thinks James is making a huge mistake. Emma laughed. James made his choice. Still, Rachel continued. I heard things aren't going well for them. Sophia quit her job and is spending James's money like water. And James looks miserable in all their photos. Emma should have felt vindicated. Instead, she felt indifferent. That life, those people, they were from another world, one she'd left behind. Rachel, I appreciate you looking out for me, but I don't care anymore. I'm building something new here. I can hear it in your voice, Rachel said warmly. You sound different. Stronger. I am stronger, Emma agreed. And she was. 3 years later. 3 years passed. Emma thrived in New York. She became a senior designer at her agency, won awards for her campaigns, and built a life she loved. She had a circle of genuine friends, a beautiful apartment in Brooklyn, and a confidence she'd never possessed before. She still thought about James and Sophia sometimes, but the memories were distant, like scenes from a movie she'd watched long ago. The betrayal had scarred her, yes, but it had also freed her. She was no longer the girl who needed someone else's approval to feel complete. On a cold November morning, Emma received an invitation in her mail. It was from her old friend Madison, someone she'd known since college. Madison was getting married in Chicago next spring and wanted Emma to attend. Emma almost declined automatically. Chicago meant facing her past, seeing people who knew about the humiliation. But then she thought about the girl she'd been 3 years ago, broken and running. And she thought about the woman she'd become, successful, independent, and whole. Why not? She murmured to herself. She RSVP'd yes. It was time to go home. Not as the victim, but as the victor. Not to prove anything to anyone, but to prove something to herself. That she had survived, and more than that, she had conquered. What Emma didn't know was that Madison's wedding would bring her face to face with James again. And this time, everything would be different. This time, she would be ready. The story wasn't over. In fact, it was just beginning. Part 2. The Return and Recognition. The Business Conference. 2 months before Madison's wedding, Emma attended a design conference in Boston. The event was massive, bringing together creative professionals from across the country. Emma was presenting a keynote speech on innovative branding strategies, something that would have terrified the old Emma, but now felt natural. She was reviewing her notes in the hotel lobby when someone called her name. Emma? Emma Carter? Oh my God, is that really you? Emma turned to see Lauren Mitchell, an old colleague from her Chicago days. Lauren's eyes were wide with surprise as she took in Emma's appearance. The confident posture, the designer clothes, the polished sophistication. Lauren, what are you doing here? Emma smiled warmly, pulling her into a hug. I'm here with my company's team. But you, wow, Emma. You look incredible. Completely different. They sat down for coffee, and Lauren couldn't stop staring. I heard you moved to New York after? Well, after everything with James and Sophia. But I had no idea you were doing so well. Emma sipped her cappuccino. Life has a way of surprising you. I needed the change, and it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. Lauren leaned forward conspiratorially. Have you heard anything about them? James and Sophia? Not really. I left all of that behind. Well, Lauren said, her voice dropping. You should know that things aren't exactly rosy for them. James's company has been struggling. His father had a stroke last year, and James had to take over, but he's not handling it well. And Sophia? Lauren paused dramatically. Let's just say the fairy tale didn't last long. Despite herself, Emma felt a flicker of curiosity. What do you mean? Sophia's spending habits nearly bankrupted them. Designer clothes, expensive trips, a lifestyle they couldn't afford. James had to sell their house and move into something smaller. And the fights. Everyone at their country club knows about the screaming matches. Lauren shook her head. Karma, right? Emma felt something unexpected, not satisfaction, but sadness. That's unfortunate for them. You're being very gracious, Lauren observed. More gracious than they deserve. Maybe, Emma said quietly. But holding on to anger would only hurt me. I've moved on. Lauren smiled admiringly. You really? You're like a completely different person. The revelation. After Lauren left, Emma sat alone with her thoughts. She hadn't realized how much she'd changed until someone from her past reflected it back to her. The old Emma would have felt vindicated hearing about James and Sophia's troubles. This Emma just felt free. The conference continued for 3 more days. Emma's keynote speech was a huge success, and she received several job offers from major companies. But more importantly, she met someone interesting, Daniel Ross, a marketing executive from Seattle. He approached her after her speech, his smile genuine and his questions insightful. Your approach to emotional branding is fascinating, Daniel said. Would you have time for dinner? I'd love to discuss a potential collaboration. Over dinner, they talked about work, but the conversation naturally drifted to other topics. Books, travel, the challenges of building a career in competitive cities. Daniel was easy to talk to, with kind eyes and a self-deprecating sense of humor. I have to ask, Daniel said over dessert. How does someone so young become so wise about starting over? Your speech had this underlying theme of reinvention. Emma paused, considering how much to share. I had my heart broken a few years ago, badly, and I had to choose between staying broken or becoming someone new. I chose the latter. Their loss, Daniel said simply. Emma laughed. That's what everyone says. Because it's true. Anyone who could let you go is an idiot. There was no pretense in his words, just honest appreciation. Emma felt something stir in her chest, not the desperate need she'd felt with James, but something steadier, warmer. They exchanged numbers, promising to stay in touch. As Emma flew back to New York, she couldn't stop thinking about Daniel's smile. Maybe, just maybe, she was ready to trust again. The wedding invitation reminder. Back in New York, Emma's life continued its upward trajectory. She was promoted to creative director at her agency, a position that came with a corner office and a team of talented designers. She also started talking to Daniel regularly, late-night phone calls that stretched for hours, video chats where they shared meals across time zones. I think you should come visit Seattle, Daniel suggested one evening. I'd love to show you the city. I'd like that, Emma admitted. But I have to go to Chicago first. A friend's wedding. Chicago? Is that where you're from? It is. And it's where everything happened. Emma found herself telling Daniel the whole story. James, Sophia, the betrayal, her escape to New York. Daniel listened without interrupting. When she finished, he said, that took incredible strength. Running away is easy. Running towards something new is brave. I didn't feel brave at the time, Emma confessed. I felt broken. Broken things can be remade into something stronger. Like Japanese kintsugi, fixing pottery with gold. The breaks become part of the beauty. Emma smiled. I like that metaphor. I like you, Daniel said softly. And I'm saying that knowing you might not be ready to hear it. But I wanted you to know. Emma's heart raced. Daniel, you don't have to say anything, he interrupted gently. Just think about it. And call me after the Chicago wedding. I want to hear how it goes. Returning to Chicago. The day Emma flew to Chicago, spring was just beginning to bloom. She'd chosen her outfit carefully, a sophisticated emerald dress that brought out her eyes, paired with heels that made her feel powerful. She looked like success, and more importantly, she felt like it. Rachel picked her up from the airport, squealing with excitement. Emma, you look amazing. New York has been so good to you. They hugged tightly years of. Wake up and realize I made the biggest mistake of my life. Emma felt a pang of pity, but nothing more. I'm sorry you're unhappy, but that's not my responsibility anymore. I know I have no right to ask anything of you. But seeing you tonight, seeing who you've become. He took a breath. I can't help but wonder what if? What if I could go back? What if I could fix it? You can't, Emma said simply. And honestly, James, I wouldn't want you to. His face fell. Why not? Because that betrayal, as much as it hurt, freed me. It showed me I could survive on my own, that I could build a life I actually loved instead of one I thought I was supposed to want. If you hadn't cheated, I might still be the old Emma, smaller, quieter, living in your shadow. So I did you a favor? His laugh was bitter. In a strange way, yes. You broke my heart, but you also broke me open. And what grew in that broken space is someone I'm actually proud to be. James was quiet for a long moment. I really did lose you, didn't I? Not just physically, but I lost any chance of ever getting you back. Yes, Emma said gently. You did. And you need to accept that and focus on the life you chose. Make it work with Sophia, or don't. But either way, I can't be part of your what-ifs anymore. Sophia's jealousy. Before James could respond, the terrace door opened again. Sophia stood there, her expression venomous. I thought I'd find you two out here. Sophia, James said wearily. We were just talking. Talking? Is that what you call it? Sophia's voice was shrill. She walked toward them, her heels clicking angrily. I saw the way you looked at her in there, James. Like she's some kind of goddess. Sophia, not here. Why not? She's already ruined enough of our lives. Sophia turned to Emma. Do you feel good about yourself? Coming back here, flaunting your success, making James feel like garbage. Emma remained calm. I didn't come here for James. I came for Madison. Your issues with. Sophia's face twisted with rage. You think you're so much better than me now? With your fancy New York job and your perfect life. I don't think anything about you, Sophia, Emma said, and it was true. I genuinely hope you find happiness. But I'm not going to let you drag me back into drama that has nothing to do with me. She walked past Sophia toward the door. James called after her. Emma, wait. She turned back, looking at both of them. James, Sophia, I forgive you. Both of you. Not because you've earned it, but because I refuse to carry that weight anymore. What you did hurt me terribly, but it also set me free. So thank you, and goodbye. The wedding day. The next morning, Emma attended Madison's wedding with her head held high. The ceremony was beautiful, full of genuine love and joy. Emma found herself tearing up, not from sadness, but from happiness that her friend had found something real. During the reception, Emma danced with old friends and made new connections. She laughed freely, drank champagne, and felt truly present in the moment. She noticed James watching her from across the room, but she didn't care. His gaze didn't have power over her anymore. Late in the evening, her phone buzzed with a text from Daniel. How's Chicago? Missing you. Emma smiled and stepped outside to call him. Chicago is good. Really good, actually. You sound surprised. I am. I thought coming back would hurt, but it just proved how far I've come. Ready for that Seattle visit yet? Daniel asked hopefully. Emma looked back at the reception, at the life she'd left behind, the people who'd hurt her, the version of herself who'd been so broken. Then she thought about the future, about Daniel's kind eyes, about new adventures, about the woman she'd become. Yes, she said decisively. I'm ready. Yeah. Book me a flight for next weekend. I want to see your city. Daniel's joy was audible through the phone. You won't regret it. I know I won't. As Emma ended the call. Emma's flight to Seattle left on a bright Friday morning. As the plane climbed above the clouds, she felt a sense of anticipation she hadn't experienced in years. Not the nervous anxiety of her relationship with James, but genuine excitement about what might unfold. Daniel was waiting at the airport with coffee and a smile that made her heart skip. Welcome to Seattle, he said, pulling her into a hug that felt like coming home. I'm so glad you're here. The weekend was magical. Daniel showed her everything. The Pike Place market where vendors threw fish and flowers bloomed in every corner. The Space Needle where they watched the sunset paint the city gold. Quiet bookstores tucked into rainy streets, and restaurants where they talked for hours over meals that grew cold. But it was the small moments that touched Emma most. The way Daniel listened when she spoke, really listened, making her feel heard and valued. The way he took her hand naturally while they walked, no games or hesitation. The way he looked at her, not with the possessive intensity James had shown, but with genuine appreciation and respect. On their last evening together, they stood on the waterfront watching boats drift across Puget Sound. I don't want you to leave, Daniel admitted. I know we've only known each other a short time, but this feels different. You feel different. Emma turned to face him. It does feel different. Better. Real. So where does that leave us? You're in New York? I'm here. We figure it out, Emma said firmly. I've learned that the things worth having are worth working for. Daniel cupped her face gently. I'm falling for you, Emma Carter. I know it's fast, and maybe it's crazy, but I need you to know. It's not crazy, Emma whispered. Because I'm falling too. When he kissed her, it felt nothing like the passion she'd shared with James. This was deeper,